Hi readers, I'm Jordan.
And I'm Katie.
And welcome to Not Another Heroine, the podcast where we break down the best and worst fictional heroines, those swashbuckling ladies who have to work a little harder than expected for their happy ending.
Want to see what's next on our TBR list? Subscribe to us on YouTube or follow us on Instagram for a sneak peek at upcoming content or to help us pick our next book.
It is the pick of the week. Wow. I think that is probably the best one yet.
Thank you. I was confident and I turned my brain off and now my brain has turned back on.
Confident translates to how many drinks? I was going to say that is the no hesitation, lots of extra sound effects.
Yeah. I'm in that good, confident, but still have some sort of, shame.
Some sort of filter.
Yeah.
Yep. I'm right there with you. It is my pick of the week.
It is.
And we're stepping a little bit outside the genre. It's not another K-drama. It is a book this time.
A book.
But this is a romantic suspense. So contemporary, you look puzzled.
What does that mean?
Romantic suspense?
Yeah.
It means that the plot is driven by an external mystery or action thing that is happening. And there is romance. The romance is still a very main piece, but it's not the entire story.
Okay.
Yeah. So if, for example, I think Regency romances, any historical romance is entirely driven by the romance.
Oh, true. Okay.
Romantic suspense is more, kind of.
I'm trying to think of, wasn't there a romantic suspense that was a big movie recently?
Probably. I don't know what though.
It's tickling my brain again, but I now have a conception, suspense, mystery gang.
Okay, think of it. Any James Bond movie is driven by a suspense, but there's always a romance angle.
Oh, okay, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, there we go.
Nice.
So this is Cover of Night by Linda Howard. And
she's written something else that you've talked about all the time, right?
She is probably one of the authors I've read the most. I don't think there's a book she's written that I haven't read. And she's written a lot of books.
Goddamn.
I think I grew up reading Linda Howard books, which is probably why I have unhealthy ideas about relationships.
Yeah, that's weird.
Because she definitely contributed to the 80s Harlequin romance short series kind of stuff. But now she very much sits in the there's actually a plot.
So we're going places.
Yeah. So I've read this particular book, Cover of Night, 3 or 4 times, and it gets better every time I read it.
Wow.
And it's not your typical hero. It's not your typical heroine. And it probably won't appeal to everyone, but I'll kind of get right into it. So it starts out in a small town in Montana, I want to say. And the heroine is a widowed mother of 3-year-old twins.
Oh, fuck no.
Yeah, so this is not going to appeal to everyone. And especially if you're a diehard fantasy romance reader, this might not be your cup of tea. But I will say Linda Howard's writing style is very fast-paced. You will start it and finish it. It moves you quickly. There's always very great chemistry between the leads. So give it the benefit of the doubt. I typically don't like to read about heroines with children. It's just not my, I don't relate as much. This is super cute.
My fuck no was more for 3-year-old twins, because even one 3-year-old is
3-year-old twin boys.
Oh,
hell no.
There are no pants on in the house and pee everywhere.
And actually that happens.
Yep, see.
So she, widowed mother of 2 twin boys, and she after the death of her husband, they lived in Seattle, so this is set in the Northwest.
Oh, okay, nice.
And so she moved out to Montana for a better life for her kids and to start over and fresh. And so she runs a bed and breakfast. She's a great cook. Aww. She's very beloved by the small community. And so her bed and breakfast is the hub for tourists who come from out of town to go hunting in the area, that kind of thing. It's so fucking cute. Oh. So there is the town handyman.
Okay, this is giving me Gilmore Girl vibes.
My God. Oh, I forgot there's a secondary romance line. So I don't know about
secondary.
You. Okay, so the books that have 2 simultaneous romance relationships going between the main set and then there's secondary characters who have their own romance angle. This book has that. It is both sets of lead characters are fucking adorable.
She's very enthusiastic about this.
I forgot how much I enjoyed this book. So I would call her like the second heroine because she doesn't get quite as much like screen time in the book, but quite a bit. Like a few are set from her perspective. And so she's the town spinster.
Aww.
And so she's like in her 40s or like late 40s, I think, but she never married. She like runs the general store. She's kind of withdrawn and like shy, but she's very sweet.
That's so cute.
Yeah, it's adorable. It's adorable. And so the male characters, right? So we have the town handyman who's good at everything. He fixes everything. He's very shy. He's quiet, kind of reserved, doesn't like to talk to anything. When he does talk to like
The keeper.
when he talks to the heroine, he kind of stutters a little bit and he's just like tries to get everything done, and like he's very competent, very good, but like it's very cute.
It kind of sounds exactly like Luke and Lorelai from Gilmore Girls. Did you ever watch Gilmore Girls?
Never watched. Sorry.
It's questionable, but Luke is the handyman and he's super gruff and like, ugh. And Lorelai is like a fast talker, super snarky, and she runs a bed and breakfast.
Oh, okay.
There was extra words in there. I don't know. The
Shy?
order was there. She runs some kind of something.
Okay.
Yeah.
A little similarities there. So that's the second hero, and then, or the first hero. The second hero is this gruff, grizzled, retired Marine.
Oh my God.
Who runs like hunting expeditions, and he's like the town badass. Like
hell yeah.
He's like the leader of the town. Everyone looks to him for like decision making, and he's kind of got this bad boy aura, mystery around him.
Okay.
So he and the town handyman go way back because they served in the Marine Corps together.
Oh shit.
And our second male lead, the gruff and grizzled older dude, he moved to the town originally and convinced his like subordinate, the town handyman, to like, hey, after you get out of the military, come move here.
Aw, that's kind of cute.
It's adorable.
It's giving me like Crash Landing vibes again.
Very much so. Everything kicks off when these weird men from out of town, coming as tourists, like to go on a hunting expedition, come and stay at the bed and breakfast. And like everything's kind of off. Like, you know, when you walk into a small town, everyone knows everyone. They're like, there's something up with these guys. Like, they're not your standard tourists. And there's like a secondary, like mystery, weird murder plot going on. And the bed and breakfast owner gets suspicious of these dudes. For some reason or another, she ends up like cleaning one of the rooms out. Oh, let me back up. I'm piecing this together in my head.
That's fair.
This dude comes into the town. He seems anxious and kind of like wary, and he's hiding. He's running away from people, and he has this briefcase with him. And
the briefcase.
Yeah. So briefcase contains something mysterious, and then he disappears. Bed and breakfast owner's like, this dude checked in, and then he disappeared, and I haven't heard from him, so what do I do with all his stuff?
Oh.
So she like puts all of his stuff, including this briefcase, in the attic of her bed and breakfast, and she starts making phone calls and calling the police and be like, hey, this dude went missing. He was my guest. He still owes me money.
Oh, I didn't even think about that part.
Yeah.
Ooh.
And like not 2 days later, a couple shady dudes show up looking for the missing dude and the missing briefcase. And they're like, hey, lady, you're the last one to see his stuff. Where'd the briefcase go?
I ain't seen shit.
And it comes about that they like threaten her. Like they corner her in her bed and breakfast after like the breakfast rush and put a gun to her head.
Holy fuck.
And they're like, we will murder your son if you don't turn over this briefcase. And when was the last time you saw this dude?
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I would pee myself, honestly.
And so she has a gun held to her head, and then the like customer bell rings. The dudes are like, you better go handle that, shut that down, and get rid of them now. And so she goes out, and the handyman's name is Cal. And there's Cal. He's always described as like sandy blonde hair that is kind of like shadowing his eyes, kind of like brushed forward and like shy and looking down. He says, I just came by to pick up the mail. Do you have anything you want me to pick up in town? And he's not like making eye contact with her at all. No. And so she's like, yes, I have mail to go in. So she grabs some like random pieces of mail, takes some like stamps and puts their American flag stamps, and she puts them on upside down to signal distress, right?
Oh my God.
And so she does this hoping that he'll like pick up on the signal. It's a very subtle signal. Like, and so she,
you have to have your whole brain on.
Yeah. And so she like shuffles over to him and she's like clearly terrified because there's armed men and like they're holding her son's hostage. She's got a gun. There's guns in the house.
Oh my God.
And so she like is trembling and hands these like envelopes over to Cal and he doesn't even look at her.
Oh my, bruh.
He doesn't even like look at her in the eye. He just takes the envelopes, like shuffles through them and like, okay, I'll get to it and come back.
Bruh.
And so she's like, this did not work.
Excuse me.
And he just leaves and she's like, what the fuck do I do now?
Oh my God.
Oh my God. So she is negotiating with these men and then like they start like ripping apart the bed and breakfast. And then all of a sudden Cal comes like an hour, like half an hour later, he comes back with a fucking shotgun and
fuck.
As they're like he takes them out one by one. I think there's 2 dudes. He knocks them the fuck out. And he's very like quiet and competent.
Oh,
he just like,
Lord.
I saw your distress signal.
Oh my God. 30 minutes later.
And like, this is the first time she's ever seen him in anything but like a friendly, shy handyman light. And like, it's in this scenario where he comes in like guns blazing, rescues her, rescues her sons, just handles it like very quietly.
It's the competence kink all over again.
Oh, yes.
He took this like very subtle signal on a piece of mail and rescued everything.
So there's like the way they describe her in the scene is like her eyes like are suddenly open to him as a man rather than like a non-gendered
person,
like potential partner.
An NPC.
Yeah. You know what I mean? I know exactly what you mean. Yeah, he went from NPC to like
character.
Yeah, character for sure. So then these dudes like leave the town. Like he scares them off, is like handles it.
Yeah, that's like, what is it, like small town justice, which has racial undertones. But in this case, in this fantasy romance suspense, we'll accept it.
So they go off and they're like, fuck this town. And so they decide to like basically shut the town off from society. Like they cut the power grid, they stake out the town, like they come back with reinforcements and they're like, so basically they just start shooting from like on cliffs and stuff. It's a little dramatic, a little Hollywood. But basically the town loses power. No one can make any calls. No one can get out. There's only one road.
Oh, shit.
They've like created a barricade. There's nothing. So the whole town has to like come together and like survive this siege.
Siege.
What siege?
Siege.
We found our first word. Oh my God.
Oh, okay.
That's a problem.
It's so funny. Jordan and I, before we started recording, were like, oh, we don't even mispronounce that many words like that often. Like, we're not going to take shooters for mispronounced words. And then we found one.
We also haven't been drinking during recording in a while.
That is true. Yeah, we've been very coherent and put together. And then
I wouldn't go that far.
Yeah, that's true. That's me thinking well of us. Maybe a little bit too well. Anyways,
so the siege, the words, the thing happens, and so everyone starts taking cover. Some people get shot as they're like going into their home, and they die. And then the secondary heroine, female lead, is named like Neely or Neela or something. And so she's like in her store. There's shots going out, and then the gruff Marine is like, I must protect my woman. So he's like, he charges across town to find her and rescue her and like get her to safety. And like he barges into her general store and like slams her down and like, don't move, like stay low, like stay below the windows. And like they have their first romantic moment because the Marine has had a thing for like the town spinster for years. But she's like always been like unreadable and very like,
that's fair,
reserved. And like they have a full blown chemistry. They're like, what? Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It's also one of those like, why does that only ever happen during like near death experiences?
I know, right? So that's like the main, like that's the kickoff of the book. The rest of the book is like surviving. I'm not going to repeat the word, but like the town getting attacked. And the romance lines on both of the sets of characters kind of progressing and resolving. And it's just adorable.
It sounds cute. Because when you first started talking about it, I was like, oh, this is going to be about vampires. And then it was not.
Just because it's set in the Northwest does not mean it has to be about vampires.
Well, it's called like Cover of Dark or
Cover of Night. Yeah.
Cover of Night.
That's fair. That's reasonable.
I'm expecting, the like red tinged black background with the girl in like some kind of like
Oh my
black
God.
latex number
There's
with like
a
the
red
two
background.
little... Oh, see, girl, see? I was not off the mark.
Fair.
Yeah,
Fair.
that's okay. But it sounds fun. I've never read suspense or romantic suspense. So
Yeah, romantic
thriller?
suspense, thriller, romantic thriller, like, yeah, fill in the blank. It's as if all of the Hollywood action movies, because all of those movies also have typically a romance angle in them,
yeah.
it's as if those movies were written from the perspective of the female characters, and the female characters have a better role.
That's nice. That's refreshing.
Yes, exactly. So,
well,
similar, I don't have similar books for this one.
that's fair.
Mostly because this is so far outside of our typical genre.
Yeah.
Like, if you're either interested or not, like, you can look up romantic suspense, look at the top authors in there. But there is an author that is very similar. Her name is Suzanne Brockmann, and she writes,
Suzanne Brockmann.
she writes like military romance, which I am not a big fan of. But she does them pretty well.
Okay.
And her writing is very, very fast paced, very readable.
I have seen these covers somewhere. 100%. I Googled her.
Yeah. They're very good. And she kind of came up in the same like publishing time frame as Linda Howard, which is they started with Harlequin doing like those very short 80s, just straight up romances, and then now have moved into romantic suspense. Suzanne Brockmann also did like an entire book for 2 gay characters.
Oh, that's like
military.
Of. Wow.
Yeah. So, and she did that in the mid 2000s, and it was like the first book to do that. And like it's called her Troubleshooters series, I think. But yeah, I remember that coming out and thinking, this has never really been done before. This is interesting. So
that's exciting. I love hearing about like the beginning of genres for romance, because I feel like it kind of started as like, oh, those are books for girls and they weren't taken seriously. And it's like, here you go. Here's your cheesy shit. But then we get these like fucking Goliath authors out of it that like create whole genres. Like, oh, I'm starstruck.
I would, it's just cool.
Wow. Well, from Jordan's shelf to yours,
we will see you on the next page.
Cute. Woot.